Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Mr. David Darrow, Clerk of the Executive Council. The Honourable Peter MacKay, Minister of National Defence, representing the Government of Canada, and Mrs. Nazanin Afshinjan MacKay. The Honourable Ross Landry, Attorney General and Minister of Justice. The Honourable Gordon Goss Jr., Speaker of the Nova Scotia House of Assembly. The Honourable Justice Linda Oland, Nova Scotia Court of Appeal, representing the Chief Justice of Nova Scotia. The Honourable Darrell Dexter, Premier of Nova Scotia, and Ms. Kelly Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, Brigadier General John James Grant, Lieutenant Governor Designate, and Mrs. Joan Grant. Please be seated. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Honourable Darrell Dexter, Premier of Nova Scotia, and Ms. Kelly Wilson, I welcome you to historic Province House in the installation of Brigadier General John James Grant as the 32nd Lieutenant Governor of Nova Scotia since Confederation. My name is Florence Sassine, Chief of Protocol for the Province of Nova Scotia. I am honoured to be the Master of Ceremonies for this event. I would now call on Lieutenant Colonel Canon Dr. Gary Thorne, Area Chaplain, Land Force Atlantic Area, to offer the opening prayer. Lieutenant Colonel.
Let us pray to the God who holds us in the palm of his hand. Known by many different names and celebrated in many different faith and spiritual traditions in our beloved province of Nova Scotia. We thank God for the inspired vocation of former Lieutenant Governors of this province and for the specific grace manifested of late in the Honourable Mayan Francis. Today we call upon our God to bestow upon Brigadier General Grant the grace and the courage to maintain the highest standards of office, that he may be faithful in representing our sovereign, Queen Elizabeth II, to the people of this province in his duties as Chief Executive Officer. By God's grace, may you be granted the wisdom and prudence to uphold the rule of law so that compassionate and just government may be strengthened and flourish to the benefit of all Nova Scotians. May God grant that through your travels in this province, you will be used as an instrument of peace and goodwill, and being an ambassador of hope and encouragement to young and old, rich and poor, abled and disabled, weak and strong, embodying the deep humanitarian values that have so blessed this country and this province. May God provide many opportunities for Brigadier General Grant to recognize the countless ways that Nova Scotians embody the spirit of sacrifice to better the lives of others, illustrated most powerfully in the example of young Nova Scotian soldiers who have sacrificed their lives in service to Queen and country in times past and in very recent years. May the God who has prepared Brigadier General Grant for this office, having shaped and blessed him with humility, courage, and wisdom, continue to uphold him and Joan with his grace, so that he may encourage, inspire, challenge, and comfort the people of this province. May God bless all the people of this province. May God make his face to shine upon us. May he lift up the light of his countenance upon us and bless this province and all who serve its people. Amen.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Thorne. I would now call on Mr. David Darrow, Clerk of the Executive Council, to present the Royal Commission of Appointment.
Your Honor, Brigadier General and Mrs. Grant, Premier and Ms. Wilson, Justice Oland, former Lieutenant Governors, Lieutenant Governor Nicholas, Lieutenant Governor Lewis, Speaker, members of the Executive Council, Minister McKay and Mrs. Afchin Jam McKay, Lieutenant Colonel Thorne, family members, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Brigadier General John James Grant appears before the Executive Council of the Province of Nova Scotia today to present his Royal Commission of Appointment and to be sworn in as Lieutenant Governor of the Province of Nova Scotia. I wish to inform the members of the Executive Council that the Honourable Justice Linda Oland, representing the Chief Justice of Nova Scotia, has been requested and authorized to administer the oath of allegiance and the oath of office. Brigadier General Grant, I present to you the Royal Commission of His Excellency the Governor-General, with instructions appointing you to the office of Lieutenant Governor of Nova Scotia. Is it your pleasure that this commission be read and published?
It is my pleasure.
I would now call upon Dr. Christopher McCreary, Private Secretary to the Lieutenant Governor, to read the Royal Commission appointing Brigadier General John James Grant to the office of Lieutenant Governor of Nova Scotia.
Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, of the United Kingdom, Canada, and her other realms and territories, Queen, Head of the Commonwealth, Defender of the Faith. 2, the Honourable John James Grant, a Commander of our Order of Military Merit, holder of our Canadian Forces Decoration of New Glasgow in the province of Nova Scotia. Greeting. Be advised that placing special trust and confidence in your prudence, courage, loyalty, integrity, and ability, we, by and with the advice of our Privy Council for Canada, pursuant to Sections 58 and 59 of the Constitution Act 1867, do hereby appoint you, John James Grant, Lieutenant Governor of the Province of Nova Scotia, during the pleasure of our Governor-General of Canada, effective the day on which you make and subscribe the oaths of allegiance and office required by Section 61 of the Constitution Act 1867. And we do hereby direct you to carry out your duties in accordance with the powers granted to you by the Constitution Act 1867 and any other statutes, our present commission and the annexed instructions, or instructions that may from time to time may be given to you by our Governor-General of Canada or by our Privy Council for Canada, and in accordance with such laws as are in force in the province of Nova Scotia. And we do hereby direct that as soon as you have made and subscribed the oaths, our present commission supersedes our commission issued under the Great Seal of Canada, July 26, 2006, appointing the Honourable Mayanne E. Francis to be Lieutenant Governor of the province of Nova Scotia. In testimony whereof we have caused these our letters to be made patent and the Great Seal of Canada hereunto affixed. Witness, our right trustee and well-beloved David Johnston, Chancellor and Principal Companion of our Order of Canada, Chancellor and Commander of our Order of Military Merit, Chancellor and Commander of our Order of Merit of the Police Forces, Governor-General and Commander-in-Chief of Canada. At our Government House in our city of Ottawa, this 13th day of March, in the year of our Lord, 2012, in the 61st year of our reign.
Justice Oland, would you please come forward and administer the oath of allegiance and the oath of office to Brigadier General Grant?
Brigadier General Grant, would you please take this Bible in your left hand and hold it as you swear to the oath of allegiance and then to the oath of office.
I, John James Grant, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, Queen of Canada, her heirs and successors, so help me God. I, John James Grant, shall well and truly execute the office and trust of Lieutenant Governor of the Province of Nova Scotia and duly and impartially administer justice therein. I shall well and truly execute the office and trust of Keeper of the Great Seal of Her Majesty's Province of Nova Scotia according to the best of my knowledge and ability, so help me God.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Ladies and gentlemen, His Honor, Brigadier General, the Honourable John James Grant, Lieutenant Governor of Nova Scotia, and Her Honour, Joan Grant. Please be seated. We will now proceed with the presentation of the Order of Nova Scotia Medal. The Order of Nova Scotia is the highest honour of the province of Nova Scotia. Established in 2002, the award recognizes worthy Nova Scotians for outstanding contributions to their community and province. The Lieutenant Governor of Nova Scotia is the Chancellor of the Order. Your Honour, it is my privilege as Secretary of the Order of Nova Scotia to call upon Justice Oland to present you with your medal on behalf of the Chief Justice of Nova Scotia. Justice Oland, would you please come forward? Thank you, Justice Oland. I would now ask the Clerk of the Executive Council to come forward and present the Great Seal of the Province of Nova Scotia to His Honour.
Your Honor, this seal is the Great Seal of the Province of Nova Scotia. Is it your pleasure to commit the Great Seal to the safe custody of the Minister of Justice?
It is my pleasure. Minister of Justice, would you come forward, please? Minister of Justice, in the name of Her Majesty the Queen, to your safe custody, I commit the Great Seal of the Province of Nova Scotia, the symbol of sovereignty and authority in this province.
Your Honor, I accept the responsibility which you have entrusted to me in the name of Her Majesty the Queen, and I promise faithfully to keep the Great Seal of Nova Scotia in my custody so long as I shall remain Minister of Justice.
We will now proceed with the presentation of the Royal Key to His Honour. The Royal Key was first presented to Her Majesty the Queen during the 2010 Royal Tour by the former Lieutenant Governor of Nova Scotia, the Honourable Mayanne Francis. Ms. Francis will present the Royal Key to His Honour as a symbol of the transfer of responsibility for Government House. Ms. Francis, would you please come forward for the presentation? am now very pleased to present Renee Smith. Renee Smith has been singing and playing the piano since the age of 5. She was awarded the Portia White Prize for Excellence in Vocal Performance and chosen to represent Nova Scotia at the 2011 Winter Games. Renee also received the prestigious President's Award from the Black Cultural Centre. Renee will perform, I believe. Renee will be accompanied on piano by Diana Torbert. Please welcome Renee Smith. Thank you, Renee. I would also like to take the opportunity to acknowledge Diana Torbert on piano. Thank you, Diana. I would now call on the Honourable Peter MacKay, Minister of National Defence, to offer remarks on behalf of the Government of Canada. Minister.
Your Honour, Brigadier General Grant and Mrs. Grant, Premier and Mrs. Wilson, Justice Olin, members of the Nova Scotia Supreme Court, former Lieutenant Governors, Lieutenant Governor Nicholas and Lieutenant Governor Lewis, Speaker, members of the Executive Council, Provincial Legislature, Lieutenant Colonel Thorne, family members, neighbours and friends, distinguished guests, Mesdames et Messieurs. Today it is my distinct honor to be here with all of you and to be part of this special ceremony in this incredible chamber at Canada's oldest legislature. It's a privilege to share in the majesty of the moment. C'est un honneur de participer à la cérémonie spéciale aujourd'hui ici à Nouvelle-Écosse. Like all of you, I'm extremely grateful as a Nova Scotian to see a true gentleman like John James Grant, a distinguished Canadian, a proud Pictonian, installed as our next Lieutenant Governor. I'm fortunate to know Brigadier General Grant, Mrs. Grant and their family, all of whom are the embodiment of public service, class and character. I have every confidence that our new Lieutenant Governor will excel in this new role and represent the people of our province with pride and purpose. I know he will bring the same qualities and traits to this role that he has in every past endeavor. He brought this passion for public service to over 50 years as a dedicated member of the Canadian Forces, as a businessman, as an active community member, and first and foremost, as a family man. As our province's representative of the Queen, Brigadier General Grant will be an ideal representative for the people of Nova Scotia, as 2012 marks the 60th anniversary of Her Majesty's accession to the throne as Queen of Canada. And as a country, we commemorate the War of 1812, the beginnings of our very country. I note that we had a military before we had a country. Intelligent, accomplished, dignified, and above all, humble. Mr. J.J. Grant, or J.J. as he is known at home, is widely admired and respected. And today is just the latest crowning achievement of a storied career. If you will permit me a brief word, I must also say what a pleasure it was for Nazanin and I to visit with Brigadier General Grant's predecessor, the Honourable Mayanne Francis, this week, to bid her farewell and to thank her sincerely for her more than 5 years of active service in her role. I believe I can fairly say that she did an outstanding job as Lieutenant Governor in her dignified and gracious manner. And she will be remembered fondly, particularly for her commitment and focus on education and outreach to our entire province. We thank you, Your Honour. Reverend clergy, I know you will agree with me that General Grant's success in both military and civilian careers speaks volumes of his sterling character, his strong work ethic, and his commitment to excellence. It is individuals like Brigadier General Grant who underscore the importance of the role of the Crown, our storied history and traditions, and the importance of public service to all our communities. On behalf of the Government of Canada, I would like to welcome Brigadier General J.J. Grant as Nova Scotia's newest Lieutenant Governor. Thank you. Merci.
Thank you very much, Minister. I would now call on the Honourable Darrell Dexter, Premier of Nova Scotia, for remarks. Premier.
Your Honors, Justice Oland, former Lieutenant Governors, Lieutenant Governor Nicholas, Lieutenant Governor Lewis, Mr. Speaker, members of the Executive Council, Minister McKay and Mrs. Afshin Jam McKay, Lieutenant Colonel Thorne, family members, colleagues, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor and a pleasure to join all of you today in this important ceremony taking place in this historic location. The walls of this red chamber have seen many lieutenant governors and even a few governor generals installed over the past 193 years. History was written when Brigadier General Grant was sworn in as the 32nd Lieutenant Governor of Nova Scotia since Confederation. This year, Nova Scotia marks the 60th year of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II's ascension to the throne. There is no better time to install a new Lieutenant Governor. And General Grant has the honor of being the first new Lieutenant Governor announced during this prestigious year. It is a perfect opportunity to reflect upon Her Majesty's 6 decades of service and dedication to this province, to Canada, and to the Commonwealth. As the representative of Her Majesty the Queen, His Honor's distinguished military career is a perfect example of devoted service and loyalty to the Crown. Nova Scotia prides itself on having been the first colony within the British Empire to achieve representative and then responsible government. Maintaining a strong connection to the Crown remains an important part of Nova Scotia's culture and a lasting tie to our province's identity. The Crown continues to symbolize a central part of our system of government, and I am confident His Honor will represent it well. The office of Lieutenant Governor in Nova Scotia is Nova Scotia's most historic office. As our province enters the bicentennial year of the War of 1812, when Sir John Cope Sherbrooke was Lieutenant Governor of Nova Scotia, there was a nice symmetry in having a retired general take on Sherbrooke's former position. In fact, His Honor follows in a long line of lieutenant governors who have had a distinguished military career. However, here's hoping that the symmetry with Sherbrooke ends with the military involvement and that General Grant won't be called upon to organize the defense of the province against invaders. As His Honor begins his term, he joins a team of 10 other lieutenant governors who serve their provinces and at the federal level as neutral arbiters. His Honor also stands here today with the support of former lieutenant governors of Nova Scotia, notably Alan Abraham, Myra Freeman, and Mayan Francis, who are all here today. I'd like to thank them again for their service and their dedication to our province and for being here on this important occasion. On behalf of the province, I wish their honors every success as they take on this new role, and I offer them my full support. I am confident that they will offer great value to the province and to the Crown. Congratulations, Your Honor. I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Premier. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my privilege to call on His Honor, Brigadier General the Honorable John James Grant, Lieutenant Governor of Nova Scotia, for remarks.
Premier Dexter, Justice Oland, Your Honors, Mr. Speaker, members of the Executive Council and Legislative Assembly, Minister McKay, Grand Chief Sillaboy, Grand Captain Denny, distinguished guests, friends, and family. I am honored to take up a position that is so directly linked to the history of our province and our country. In Nova Scotia, we are replete with history and rightfully confident in the potential our future holds. As many of you are aware, 2012 marks several important anniversaries for Nova Scotia and Canada as a whole. It was 60 years ago that Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II ascended the throne to become Queen of Canada. Her service to Canada and her other realms and to the Commonwealth is unparalleled, something all Canadians can take pride in as we mark this momentous occasion. This year also marks the bicentennial of the War of 1812, a conflict that profoundly shaped this province and its development. As the Premier noted, I follow a long line of military men who served as Lieutenant Governor. From the second Governor of Acadia, Jean de Biencourt de Poutrincourt, to Sir George Prevost, who guided the colony of Nova Scotia in the period immediately before the War of 1812, to Major General E.C. Plow and Brigadier Victor de B. Oland, I am humbled to join this notable group. My tenure has been preceded by that of two remarkable women and several no less impressive gentlemen. I accept the responsibilities of this office, knowing that I will be guided throughout my tenure as Lieutenant Governor by the example of service and dedication set by Her Majesty, and by humble carriage of one of the greatest Nova Scotians, Joseph Howe, to whom we owe so much. We can continue to learn a great deal from Howe's enterprising, indomitable spirit, something that is seen in the hearts and minds of Nova Scotians to this day. I will dedicate my tenure as Lieutenant Governor to those who serve their fellow citizens, service in the broadest meaning of the word. From the members of Her Majesty's Canadian Forces who defend and protect our country, the police and peace officers who keep the Queen's peace, and the veterans who have given so much, to those who render voluntary services at the community level and province-wide. Moreover, we must not forget the many people who serve in a wide variety of professional, vocational, and business fields who ensure the viability of our province. In her first Diamond Jubilee speech, Her Majesty ably recognized the importance of, quote, celebrating the professional and voluntary service given by millions of people who are working for the common good. They are the source of vital support for the welfare and well-being of others, end quote. I fully intend to make this sort of recognition and outreach a focus of my tenure as her representative in our province. Every Nova Scotian has the capacity to serve their fellow citizens, thereby enriching lives well beyond the scope of just our friends and neighbors. A unique facet of Canadians from coast to coast to coast is their pervasive and ingrained desire to contribute to the building and well-being of our various communities. Visiting communities across our province with its outstanding beauty and diversity will undoubtedly be one of the most rewarding aspects of my role. Having spent much of my life living in a small community, I feel a special connection with those dedicated to preserving and enhancing life in the medium and smaller towns and villages that comprise an important element of Nova Scotia's identity. While my own family has deep roots in Nova Scotia, one of the duties I most look forward to is providing over citizenship ceremonies, where new Canadians accept the privilege and responsibility of citizenship and full membership in the Canadian family. We can take such strength and joy in the diversities of the people who make up our province, those who maintain the Mi'kmaq language and culture, Acadians, Gaelic speakers, African Nova Scotians, those whose roots are found in the British Isles, and also the vibrant Lebanese community, to name but a few elements of our Nova Scotia family. One of the most important legacies I believe a Lieutenant Governor can leave is to have simply represented the Queen in the province with dignity and openness. Each of my predecessors have brought something different and positive to the office, but what links them together is the common thread of having represented the Crown in Nova Scotia with distinction. The Crown continues to be, as it always has been, a unifying symbol, constantly there to promote and champion all that is good about our province, our country, and those who make Canada what it is. You have just witnessed the transfer of the Royal Key to Government House, a new tradition in a province rich in heritage. Let me assure you, however, that the ceremonial home of all Nova Scotians will remain a place of pride and openness. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the presence of the Honourable Graydon Nicholas, Lieutenant Governor of New Brunswick, and the Honourable Frank Lewis, Lieutenant Governor of Prince Edward Island. I am delighted to be joining what His Excellency the Governor-General David Johnston has described as Canada's vice-regal family. Not since the reign of King George V has the installation of a Lieutenant Governor been attended by other serving representatives of the Crown, and it is fitting that this tradition has been resumed here in this province where responsible government and Canadian democracy were forged and first tested. So much meaning and purpose is given to my own life through the love and support I have been given in unlimited quantities by my family. They have been there for good times and bad, and I know they look forward to supporting me in this next challenge as much as I look forward to being here in the role of Lieutenant Governor. In closing, let me say how much Joan and I look forward to meeting the remarkable people who make our province and country such an outstanding place to call home. As Joseph Howe noted, I am not one of those who thank God I am a Nova Scotian merely, for I am a Canadian as well. Thank you, merci, Welaliak, Tapalib.
Thank you, Your Honour. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the ceremonial portion of the installation. Please rise for the national anthem to be led by Renee Smith. Following the national anthem, please remain standing for the departure of their honours, the members of the Vice-Regal Party, and the members of the official party.